Welcome everyone to the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival 2021 Q&As. I'm Rita Christian. Thank you so much for joining us. This year, our full program will be screened online from September the 22nd to the 28th, with our new media exhibition available online and in person at Grandison Lab Belmont tomorrow, Friday the 24th, and Saturday the 25th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Feel free to comment and ask questions that you may have for the filmmakers, and we will try to answer them during our session. And of course, don't forget to check check out all our films at watch.eventive.org/ttff21. We would also like to thank all our sponsors and partners. NGC is our signature sponsor this year, and we have leading sponsorship from Shell Trinidad and Tobago, Republic Bank Limited, as well as contributing and supporting sponsorship from NLCB and Sports and Culture Fund, respectively. All right. So today I have with me Keoni Wright. He's representing his film Romeo's Road. I have Jaden Chambers, the star of the film, the 1938 Unrest, and Irene, Gutiérrez, who has the film Between Dog and Wolf. All right, so guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to start with you, Keoni. In Romeo's Road, we meet a hero. I call him that. He fought to protect his way of life and people of his village in the 1980s and in the Civil War against the army. Present day, he continues to fight for basic amenities, example, electricity, 24-hour access to water, better quality roads. Where did you find him?
A very good question. I don't think it was a coincidence given the fact that I made the film, but I actually met Romeo in 2018. I went to his village to write a piece on illegal logging. And while I was there, I found out that a lot of the people in the village didn't have much of an opinion on illegal logging because the logging wasn't necessarily happening in their village. But I met this man named Romeo, and Romeo stood out from the rest. Wheaton Ground, where he lives, which is deep in the Surinamese rainforest, he just stood out from everyone else. It's a very small village. There's not too many people there. And then out from his house steps this dreadlock man who, you could tell was older and a bit wiser, but you could tell that he had some history, and he was a very chiseled dude, and everybody in the village instantly respected him on a multitude of levels. And I said, who is this guy? So we sat down and talked. And then I came to realize that this man who identifies as a boatman, a fisherman, he actually fought in the Civil War and had a very harrowing tale to tell, where he and 17 of his jungle commando brethren fought against 100 members of the Surinamese army to protect their village, and they ended up winning. Unfortunately, they lost 3 men during that battle. But he has 6 years worth of Civil War stories to tell, but that was probably the most harrowing, probably the one that caught me the most. And I knew at that moment, I was like, I need to come back here and I'm going to make a film about this man. And that process should have taken 2 years, but thanks to a little thing called the pandemic, it took 3. And my filmmaking colleague and I were able to make it happen. I came into Suriname on December 28th. There was a brief window open for flights and for Americans to come in. The next morning, I woke up in my quarantine hotel and the country was closed again. And then from that point forward, I made inroads to reconnect with Romeo because we hadn't really talked for 3 years. I just knew that he probably hadn't left his village. And 2 months later, we were rolling, we were filming.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Jaden, you are the star of the 1938 Unrest. It's a short film that depicts a crucial moment in Jamaican history. So, Jaden, can you tell me, why do you think it was important to make a film about this particular moment in Jamaican history?
Okay, JP and I thought it was very important because it wasn't talked about enough. Even in history class, in Caribbean history at school, it has never came across in any topic at all. So when we link now and we're speaking together and I'm giving him an idea that I have for a film, he told me about a statue he saw saying 1938, and it has a couple names on it downtown Kingston. So we went and we checked it out, and then we just went and did and do research. And doing the research, I realized, say, yo, this is so important, and nobody talks about it. A lot of people ask about it, don't even know it happened. So we just thought that, well, we're two filmmakers and we want to do something, so why not teach the people something? Huh?
All right, nice. And Irene, the name of the film is Between Dog and Wolf. Tell us why this title was chosen for the film about the lives of three guerrilla soldiers. Any correlation?
Um, well, this title comes from the magic hour in French. Is and for me, it's like the state of mind in where they are, because they are peasants, but they are soldiers. So they are in betweenness, in this in betweenness, of the ordinary life, but also with the trauma of a war. And the thing is, like, when they came back from Angola, nobody asked them how do they feel. In Cuba, was in general was a taboo. Nobody talked about the war afterwards. So for 30 years, there was a big silence about this conflict, and I wanted to show this counter story of this event today and what it remains today for those who were there when they were 20 years old, 21 years old, 18 years old. That's in betweenness, because also for me, it's like the thing that they are more proud about is the war, but also it's they are still healing this war in themselves. So this kind of yes, in betweenness is what I wanted to portray through their bodies, their reenactments, through their trainings and testimonies.
All right. So, Keoni, people in authority, government officials, if and when they get a chance to see this film, what are the outcomes you're hoping for?
Well, it's funny you ask because we are on tap next week to show our film to the Vice President of Suriname. We have a special audience with him, but we're kind of feeling out the COVID situation right now. But as soon as he's back in his office, we'll be showing the film. And what's ironic about that is that the Vice President happens to be the original founder of the Jungle Commando, Ronnie Brunswick. And I think in Suriname in particular, we're entering a phase where there's a little bit of a renaissance with the Jungle Commando. And I don't mean that people are forming up again to fight. I mean that people are actually looking at the Jungle Commando and the impact that they had. Because what would have happened if there was no resistance? What would have happened to Suriname? And for political reasons, the subject is very, very touchy. And so I think it's actually appropriate that a film like this was made by an outsider, but it's my sincere hope that this opens up the gateway for people not to be afraid to make this kind of art. I don't like to use the word content or even media, but to make this kind of art about a time that was very defining, about a people that should not be forgotten, and about a people that have been essentially fighting against oppression since they escaped from plantations back during the times of slavery. So it is a bit touchy, but thankfully, I mean, literally a year before I made this film, there was a change in the government, which really cleared the way, because this is a very touchy subject, and in such a small country, making this kind of a film could be quite deleterious to someone's life. But because I'm an outsider, I heartfully and I take the risk. You know what I mean? But I hope this opens up the gateway, and I hope that governments start to look at what was the impact of the Civil War. I think it's very important to start looking at things like PTSD, looking at some of the homeless people on the street here who, for the most part, were soldiers from the war. And it's important to have those conversations, because very much my perception of Suriname is that it is a healing country. It is beautiful. It has the essence of a healing soul. And the Civil War is a time that people do need to reflect on in hopes that it brings people together in a much greater way.
Well, I wish you luck next week for the
Thank you.
viewing of the film. I wish you all the best. All right.
Thank you.
Jaden, this film was not only a history lesson, it was a mood. So tell us about the use of red light and screams throughout the film.
Okay, so the use of red light is to show like the blood, literally blood we were going for, you know, because these people riot, but even though they riot and got something good from it, because it led to our independence, but a lot of persons lost their lives during this process. So showing the color red or having red as a theme, as a part of the script, and you hearing the voices of the cries of the ancestors. So it's not just me, the actor crying, or the protagonist crying. I'm crying for everyone who cried before me.
Yeah, it was really powerful stuff. Very powerful. And Irene, we see that the soldiers that are fighting for nothing in return, they say that in the film. Then one subject said, you know, they're fighting for nothing in return. They're fighting for an ideal. Okay, that was mentioned in the film. At the end of the film, we see ex-soldiers take a vote on the honors that should be bestowed upon fallen soldiers. Why was it critical to include the plight of living ex-soldiers? So you see one of the characters talk about, you know, not getting an allowance and, you know, having to live, the ex-comrades. So why was it crucial to mention that?
Well, all those, they were 366 men going to Angola from Cuba. And today, nobody talk about that anymore. It's a very forgotten conflict. And they are still alive, but they are like 2,066 that passed away there. And when they came back, and still today, they live in a very humble conditions in a very humble conditions. Even now with COVID, they are really struggling with COVID in the town and in the mountains where they live is the same place. So I think they feel that they are a little bit betrayed by the Cuban Revolution and also by the whole planet is itself. The whole world is witnessing that they are forgotten even today. But also they are still believe in the revolution and they still have faith in this process. For me, this is the complexity of the film, because it's more like a state of mind, because a revolution, the Cuban Revolution, it's almost over, as you know, nowadays. So how can they struggle with this forgotten, with them being forgotten, and also the Cuban Revolution being forgotten? But because now it's over. So it's a generation who is still alive, and I wanted for them to express what they feel about this contemporary witnessing of a process that unfolded with them, and it's finished in history, and what is coming next, which is the big question of the film. What is coming next?
And it's actually a good reminder of what they go through. Ex-soldiers, you know, all the things they go through. So that was actually really good, a really good point to put in the film. Keoni, what can viewers learn from Romeo about life, about protecting life, protecting community, protesting for better quality of life?
I think he's a prime example of just living a righteous life, you know, and not really giving in to commercialism, not giving in to the lure of the city, and realizing, taking a moment to just realize what you have around you. And unfortunately, someone like Romeo is becoming more and more of a rarity here in Suriname, as more people are not just lured to Paramaribo, the capital city, but lured to Holland in the United States due to some of the political issues here, the economic issues, and certainly what's going on with COVID. So I think Romeo is someone who is so very wise, just because he's taken time to realize that everything he needs is around him. And it's a little bit beyond the cliche that the jungle is the supermarket, you know, but I think there's a way of life there. There's an energy in the jungle. And he's also doing right by his ancestors. You know, I mean, this is how his ancestors have lived. He is carrying on traditions, and he is living authentically. And I think I think those are the biggest lessons you can take away. At the very end of the film, he says, I'm very happy. He's looking down in his canoe full of fish, and he says, I'm very happy that I don't have a boss in the city. You know, I'll live here for the rest of my life. I won't be rich, but I'll be free. And that is, for anybody, that should be a very powerful statement, you know, and it obviously makes me think twice about what I have around me, you know. So that's what we can learn from Romeo in the film.
That is actually a great note to end on. Thank you, Keoni. Thank you, Jada. Thank you, Irene, for joining us. 3 great films. I look forward to see how well they're going to do in the festival. And I also look forward to your future projects. You know, Jaden, as an actor, I want to see more from you. I want to see more from you, Keoni. And, you know, Irene, I want to see more of your stuff. I'm very, very inspired. So thank you so much for joining us. All right, so thanks for everybody joining us on this Q&A. Don't forget, you can still catch all of these great films as they are screening today. So check out Film Festival TT, the website where you can find all the information on how to buy tickets and check out all the films coming up as well. That's our time. Okay, so we ran out of time. Oh my gosh, we ran out of time. But thank you so much, guys. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you.
The best part of this interview